Now, all day, every day, we keep being told, what will the federal election be about? And why do I talk about it so regularly? Well, because elections have consequences. They matter. They are forks in the road, and there are good and bad choices to be made. I think it's rather clear which way I think the good choice is and the bad choice is, but the choice is still yours, of course, to make. Now, if you believe the media, apparently the only issues that people care about are climate change because people take to the streets. Or maybe it's about issues to do with the treatment of women because people take to the streets. Or maybe it's vaccine mandates because people take to the streets. Well, I think there's an issue that is going to be huge if played correctly by the federal government, but more importantly, either way, will be of serious concern about the next 3 years, regardless of who the government is. And that is interest rates. Millions of people around the country, obviously, are trying to pay off their own homes, and a very large portion of them tried to refinance their homes during the pandemic. Interest rates have never been lower. John Howard was able to, in part, win a 2004 election with a little slogan that was at the top of his lectern every time he spoke, which was keep interest rates low. And then when they started to go up, including when they went up in the final month before the 2007 election, interest rates going up was one of the reasons why, well, the Labor Party was able to say that the economic plan of the then Howard government had failed. It was effective, and we saw it both being used positively and negatively against a government. But here is the reality in Australia right now in 2021. Millions of people in Australia cannot afford an interest rate rise. They cannot afford for an incoming Labor government to start pumping more stimulus, more taxpayers' money into an economy to get it going. Because if that was the case, then you would end up with inflation. Exactly what's happening in the United States right now, where they have tipped in, of course, trillions of dollars of taxpayers' money, where they just literally printed it to try to revive their economy. As a result, inflation, the cost of things, is now going through the roof at absolute record rates. So I repeat, you want to think about the choices that you have at the next election. Well, what about this? Under the Morrison government currently, that is the interest rate in Australia, 0.75%. Apparently, there's about $500 billion worth of money that people have added to their mortgages or started new mortgages in just the past couple of years. These are the people who are sitting all day, every day, kind of thinking that money is too free right now, and perhaps it is. But this is a huge political opportunity for the government. Now, who knows what will happen in 3 years' time, whether the same issues that befell the Howard government would end up befalling a returned Morrison government. But what is the policy from the Labor Party when it comes to interest rates? Oh, that's right, they don't have one. What is their policy about making sure that they don't end up printing more money, spending more money, borrowing more money? Oh, of course, they don't have one. But you do have a Prime Minister who today realised that there are millions of people who might care about a vaccine mandate, might care about the issues to do with the workplace culture in Parliament House, and yes, they might have their opinion positively or negatively on climate change. But what do all three of those people have in common? Three of those issues have in common? You need somewhere to live. Interest rates are at their record low. This is something the Prime Minister should mention every single day between now and the election. Because if we change the government, is there a chance that we change economic policy, that we end up spending too much money, that we end up creating inflation, and thus a way of stopping it is to increase interest rates? Here was the PM in Western Sydney, where mortgages matter.
Australia's economic recovery has to be secured by people who have a track record in economic management. Otherwise, you're going to see petrol prices go up, you're going to see electricity prices go up, you're going to see interest rates go up more than they would need to otherwise.
This is a sleeper issue, and it's not as sexy as the other ones, and it certainly won't amuse all of the people in Canberra. But the reality is, that is one of the codes when people talk about the economy, and the economy still remains, according to surveys, Australia's number one concern, number one reason to hire and fire a government.